Now, this story is so creepy, it actually kept me up at night. And it all started with these weird dreams that I had. I kept having these dreams about being chased through a dark, unfamiliar house by some kind of faceless creature. I didn't know where I was or why I was being chased. And every time I turned around to try and find my pursuer, all I saw was darkness. It would reach out for me with these long, skeletal fingers and try and grab me, but I could always just barely escape its grasp. Then it would disappear into the shadows, only to reappear again in another room. And I never did figure out what this thing wanted from me or why it kept trying to take me away. It just kept chasing me over and over again through this never-ending maze of dark rooms and hallways until I woke up in a cold sweat every single night. But then one night I woke up and realized something strange. I still felt like I was being chased, but I wasn't having a dream anymore. The shadowy creature was still there, standing at the foot of my bed. I sat bolt upright in terror and tried to make sense of what I was seeing. But the longer I stared at the dark figure, the more it seemed to become less solid and more like a shadow. Then, with the final creak of the floorboards and the sound of my own ragged breathing echoing in my ears, it vanished. And in the morning, after, of course, sleeping maybe 2 hours at the most, I got up and went to work. My boss, bless her heart, let me come and wait and gave me a stern talking to about not pulling all-nighters and forgetting about my responsibilities. She even offered me some sleeping aids, which I politely declined. I didn't want to tell her the real reason I was so exhausted. I knew she wouldn't believe me, so I just mumbled something about stress and went back to my desk. But I couldn't focus on my work. I kept seeing the dark figure from my dreams out of the corner of my eye, and I could feel its presence watching me from the shadows. I tried to shake it off, but it was no use. I had to go home, and when I got home, I decided to see a therapist. The therapist, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes and a soothing voice, listened patiently as I told her about my dreams and the shadowy creature that had been haunting them. I was embarrassed to admit how scared I was, but she didn't judge me. Instead, she suggested that my dreams were a manifestation of my anxiety and that the faceless creature represented some kind of fear or a repressed emotion that I needed to confront. She encouraged me to keep a dream journal and to try and remember as many details as possible. As the weeks passed, I began to notice patterns in my dreams. They always took place in the same dark house, and the faceless creature always seemed to be lurking around every corner. I could feel its cold, bony fingers brushing against my skin, but I never saw its face. I tried to turn and run, but its grip tightened and it pulled me deeper into the darkness. Then one night, I finally caught a glimpse of its face. It was pale and gaunt with deep-set eyes that burned like hot coals. Its mouth was twisted into a cruel smile, and its teeth were long and sharp like those of a wild animal. I screamed in terror and woke up with a start. From that day on, I was determined to uncover the mystery of the faceless creature. I began researching old houses in my area, hoping to find one that matched the setting of my dreams. But no matter how many hours I spent poring over property records, I came up empty-handed. The house from my dreams simply didn't exist, or if it did, there was no record of it. One night I had a dream that gave me a clue. I was exploring the dark house and came across a room with a locked metal box in it. As I struggled to open the box, I heard a voice whispering my name. I turned around, but there was no one there. I continued searching the room and found an old diary hidden under the floorboards. When I opened it, the pages were filled with cryptic entries about a dark secret that had been buried in the house and a warning to whoever found the diary to stay away. When I woke up, I felt a sense of urgency. I had to find this house and uncover the dark secret it was hiding. I couldn't rest until I knew what was going on. I called in sick to work and spent the day driving around the countryside looking for any house that looked familiar. Just when I was about to give up, I saw it. It was an old Victorian mansion set back from the road and surrounded by overgrown weeds and trees. The paint was peeling from its walls and the windows were boarded up. I felt a chill go down my spine, but I couldn't look away. Something was calling to me. I parked my car and walked slowly toward the house. As I got closer, I could feel the presence of the faceless creature watching me from the shadows. I could hear its footsteps on the roof above me, and it sounded like it was getting closer. I turned around to run, but the creature was already there. It lunged at me and I fell to the ground in terror. Then everything went black. I woke up in a hospital bed with a start. A doctor in a white coat was kneeling beside me asking me questions, but I couldn't respond. I couldn't move. I tried to scream for help, but no sound came out. I looked down and realized that I was paralyzed from the waist down. The doctor must have noticed the look on my face because he sighed and said, "I'm sorry, but you've been paralyzed from the waist down. You'll never walk again." I wanted to ask him what had happened, but all that came out was a strangled whisper. He leaned closer and said, "You were found unconscious at the bottom of a well in an abandoned house. I don't know how you got there or what happened to you, but I'm afraid you won't be leaving this hospital anytime soon." As he turned to leave, I gathered my remaining strength and rasped out, "What house?" He paused at the door and said, "They're calling it the Shadow House. The police think it might have been a cult site or something like that. There were some weird symbols carved into the rocks around the well, and some strange artifacts found at the scene." He shook his head and left me alone with my thoughts. I lay there for what felt like hours, trying to piece together what had happened to me. Had the faceless creature from my dreams somehow attacked me in real life? Was the house really a cult site? And what did they have to do with my dreams? Just when I was about to drift off to sleep, I felt a cold hand on my shoulder. I turned my head and came face to face with the creature from my dreams. Its eyes glowed red in the darkness, and its mouth was twisted into a cruel smile. It leaned closer and whispered, "You can't escape me now." I screamed, but no sound came out. Then everything went black. I woke up in my own bed in a cold sweat. Had that really happened, or was I still dreaming? I looked down at my body and gasped. I was paralyzed from the waist down. I tried to move, but I couldn't. I struggled to breathe, but I couldn't. I was trapped in my own body, unable to move or speak. Then I looked up and saw the faceless creature standing over me. It smiled and said, "Welcome to my world." I screamed, but no sound came out. And then I knew I was in trouble. Check out Creepy Chicken if you haven't already. And make sure to subscribe if you dare.